indicate that we are now going to go into a very sublime space. We're going to talk poetry as a tool for healing and also identity in a very fast-paced world. Our guest is an author and poet, and I'm so pleased she's here with us so that she can give us the tools to kind of get into that space of restful calmness in hectic life that we'll always find ourselves caught up in. Kemera Moodly, I do hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. A very good
Yes, you
morning to
are.
you on the program. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have I pronounced your name correctly?
Yes, you have.
Okay, good. Um, I understand that your work feels deeply personal, but also very widely relatable. When you sit down to write, are you trying to heal yourself or are you speaking to others?
Well, I think the main purpose for me writing is to express myself, to put my emotions and my thoughts down onto paper, and to make sense of it. And in the process, I hope that readers would find that relatable. Um, that it's something that they could relate to. That maybe it's the same emotions or thoughts that they experience. Um, So I wouldn't say that I'm writing to try to heal myself. I would. It's more of a means of expression and to put everything down on paper and make sense of whatever it is that I'm feeling or thinking.
We're living in a time of constant noise. There's just this craziness, noise, and with all of that noise, which we want to block out, we also have very short attention spans. Why
Mhm.
should poetry still matter in 2026?
Look, I think there's only so much that social media and the internet can give you. Um, I feel like poetry offers a space for you to express your emotions and your vulnerabilities and your thoughts in a way where you don't necessarily you're not necessarily judged for it. And an interesting thing is that sometimes on social media, well, most times on social media, people are drawn to the visual. So they much prefer to watch a video or a reel as opposed to reading something. So I find that my poetry doesn't actually get read much on platforms like Instagram. Whereas, and I think because Instagram is generally utilized mostly by younger people, whereas on Facebook, there's an older following that I have, and those people tend to actually take the time to read what I write. So I think it's got to do with the generational the generation that the followers are from, as well as the fact that some people are more drawn to visual as opposed to reading a piece of poetry that someone has posted about. So
I'm one. Carry on.
to answer your question, there is a lot of noise on the internet and on social media, but it's up to the individual to decide how they want to filter through that noise and what they want to gravitate towards.
Um, I, like many other people, when we come across authors and poets, we always say, and this is truly from the bottom of my heart, that there's a book inside of me that's dying to be written and to be read. Um, Regarding your writing, I sense a raw honesty in your writing. And I always wonder if ever I have to write that book that I've promised I'm going to write at some stage. Um, how am I going to be able to distinguish what's too personal to share? And I'm sure you found yourself in a dilemma like that. And
Yes.
what needs to be said out loud, very especially with your close circle of friends and family, because oftentimes you might be accused of using their character in your book or your poetry.
Look, I think with poetry, it's easy. It's easy to sometimes overshare. because there's a lot that happens within, your thoughts and your emotions. And it's very easy to overshare and to put your vulnerabilities out there onto paper. And I actually had this discussion with my mom and my editor about a year ago, where I was looking at my sixth book. And you have to go through that very thorough editing process of reading every single poem a couple times, before you decide, do I keep it in the book or do I take it out? And a lot of the times was, if something is too personal, maybe I should remove it. But I actually challenged the two of them, my mom and my editor, and I said, I should keep it there, because why can't we make those vulnerabilities known to the public? And I think it's basically a personal decision. How much do you want to share? That comes down to you, and what you're comfortable to do. I'm pretty comfortable to be vulnerable and open and share everything. And that's actually what I do with my poetry, especially online on social media. I share everything. I don't hold back.
People struggle to articulate how they feel, what they feel. Do you see poetry as that medium or that platform where they'll be able to express really what's going on inside of them, for those emotions that they don't have words for?
Definitely, I think it is the best form of expression. And for me, it's one of the easiest artistic, creative forms of expression, because there's no rules. Whatever comes to your mind or your heart, you can put it down on paper, and there's not going to be anyone to judge you. Um, so for me, it's the best form of expression. And there's, like I said, there's no rules to it. So each person can communicate and express how they're feeling in different ways, in different words. So whether you choose to share it on social media or in a published book or in a stand-up performance, or whether you just keep it in a journal for yourself, I mean, I think there's freedom in how you choose to express yourself.
Okay, let's go for an ad break. When we come back, we'll talk some more with this amazing author and poet. Her name is Kemera Moodly, and she's talking about why she writes poetry, what it does for her. And if you've always wanted to write a book or poetry, then listen closely. You might get some of the answers that you've been battling to find within yourself.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Across Sudan, starvation is tightening its grip. With rising food prices and widespread malnutrition, 8.7 million people are now facing emergency or famine-level hunger. As the conflict intensifies and aid routes narrow, families in Sudan are running out of options and time. The Al Imdad Foundation is delivering life-saving humanitarian aid to those most at risk. Stand with Sudan. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. We're talking to an author and a poet, Kemera Moodly, and of course, we're exploring poetry as a tool for healing in this fast-paced world of ours. Kemera, so what's the difference for you between writing a poem in solitude and then performing it in front of a live audience?
I think for me, writing in solitude is more expressive and emotional, and there is some kind of cathartic aspect to it. The emotion is more raw when you write in solitude. I think when you perform in public to an audience, yes, it's great you have listeners, and I think it makes the poetry more relatable, and it maybe creates a greater sense of purpose and belonging, because it's now no longer just a piece of poetry that you created for yourself. It's also for something that others can relate to, and can draw some kind of feeling of belonging from it, that, oh, I'm not alone in this and how I feel. This poet or this person also feels the same. So it's kind of like a communal experience, if you could put it that way.
So when you are sharing your poetry, performing it in front of people, do you find that it allows for engagement and people will engage you and possibly even confront you on some of the stuff that you've written, or perhaps even engage in a sense to say that that has been healing for me, and like you've indicated, that they can identify with what you have said? So do you allow space for that? And so I'm talking interactivity here. Do people enjoy that? And you as the poet, do you enjoy it as well? Because I think in that space of interaction, there might also be a bit of criticism about what you have shared.
Yes, look, I recently read a poem at a concert that was held in a church. It was in December. And I'm not Christian, but I obviously went to the concert that was in the church. And the poem that I had written for this event spoke to, the story of Christmas, and it made it a universal. I actively made it a universal message. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because a lot of people came to me afterwards, and they complimented me, and they said that they enjoyed the poem and how can they get a copy of it. And later on, I posted it on social media, and it got a huge response from people, all positive. So in that case, in that example, there was no negative or criticism that came from that. But I think that engagement with people and getting a response, and feeling that my writing was received well and it was something that they could relate to, I think for me as a writer, that was very fulfilling. And it gives a different aspect to it. It's easy to sit at home in the comfort of your room and your space and to write freely and express yourself, but it's a totally different thing now to be heard in person by other people and to have them relate to what you've written and to identify with it.
And undoubtedly, when people do, and I'm sure you've had this happen in the past, whether it was in, a live performance or just, a small group of people or two or three other people. And when you're challenged about what you have written, kind of almost indicates that you've triggered through your writing, you've triggered something in that person, in their memory or in their life or whatever they're going through. How do you respond to a situation like that? And let me also then bring in another question, because I think it ties in. We know about the issues around mental health issues, not only in South Africa, but globally. Has poetry been a form of therapy for you? Because it can be a form of therapy for other people.
Yeah, definitely. Poetry can be, without doubt, a form of therapy, and I mean, it's a form of therapy for me as well. Um, but to go back to your question, where you asked, you know, I think it was something about how people respond to the work.
They challenge you, and your poem or a word or a line in the poem has triggered something in them.
Yes, so I've had a few of those instances where my poetry allows people to question things about themselves, which they may not have given thought to before. But with reading my poem, it's triggered something in them, and now they're questioning, something about that issue on their personal self as well. So that's quite interesting. Also, what I've noticed is I wrote a poem last year where I questioned what was happening in Palestine and Gaza. And I spoke very openly about, my anger towards Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. And I actually got a positive response from people. And some people actually said to me, please write more on
Wow.
those kind of topics, because they like to question and to bring a political aspect to my work, which I don't do often because I feel like there's a lot of negativity in the world, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of inhumane things happening, and sometimes you get fed that on social media. So I like to give people something different to look at, give them a reprieve from it, and something to calm the mind, as opposed to make it question and make it.
Okay. Camera screen has just gone blank. I hope we haven't lost it, but it looks like we have. So I will see if we can reconnect. We've almost come to the end of the interview. I did have one or two more important questions to ask her. So, oh, there she is, back again. I still don't have picture camera. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Can you hear me? The picture is perfect as you've set it up. Let's check with sound. You've muted yourself, right? Do you want to, right? You want to pick up from where you left off? You can just leave the camera. You can leave your phone exactly where it is, or your laptop. All right, it is 11:56 a.m. We are talking with Kemera Moodly. She's an author and a poet. We're talking about being in this sublime space of poetry, and of course, how it can be truly a healing space to be in when you listen or read poetry. Just calms you down. Kemera, welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry, a call came through and then my mic and everything just went off.
Okay, fine. Do you want to we've only got about 2 minutes left to wrap up the interview. Would you like to just continue with that response, and I'll put the final question to you? Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, what was your last question?
You were responding regarding being triggered, and you
Oh, yes.
spoke about, you spoke about the you wrote about the atrocities in Palestine, and you called out Donald Trump and Netanyahu, but you received a lot of positive comments regarding that. But you also went on to say that you want to offer a space of calmness and a space of peace and solitude, because you also indicated there's way too much negativity and horror and killing and bad stuff going on in the world. Okay, so we get your point. Let me give you my final question. Young people who are feeling unheard or unseen, what role can writing or even just reading poetry, play in them finding their voices? And I also know that not everybody are lovers of poetry, and not everybody in this day and age are prolific readers. But let's just take those few whom we believe this will make a difference to.
No, definitely. I did a project last year with four schools in the Chatsworth area. And basically, I gave them a topic or a theme and asked them to write a poem on it. So, from those four schools, I eventually had 70 good submissions that were then published in an anthology. And the quality of the writing that came from these learners, they were grade 10, 11, and 12 learners. It was unbelievable. They were able to produce such excellent poetry where they express themselves so clearly, so lucidly. um, they spoke about a range of matters. The family unit, how important it is to have relationships with their mothers, their fathers, their siblings. They spoke about friendships. They spoke about having a relationship with God and the divine, which is remarkable given their tender ages. And so, yes, I think that young people can turn to poetry to express themselves, give voice to those emotions and those thoughts that maybe they can't do in interpersonal relationships. And it's a form of therapy. It's a form of um, healing, and putting it down in a journal, even if it's not meant to be shared, just for themselves to let it out and put it onto paper, can itself be a form of therapy. And I think that those who do enjoy writing and do enjoy reading poetry should definitely do it, because it is very beneficial to one's um, mind and sense of being.
And that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for your insights on poetry. It was lovely engaging with you. And all I can say is I look forward to talking with you sometime in the future. And I definitely am going to squiz through all of your poetry. God bless, and
Thank you so
be
much.
that
Thank you
shining
for
light.
having me.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. God bless. It is exactly 12 o'clock, and we are into the second hour of the mid-morning talk show with me, Julie Ali. And in this hour, we're going to be talking to Dr. Shabir Hussain. We will be looking at, obviously, cataracts. He is the founder and CEO of Cataract Projects. And we'll wrap up with Ali Akara, co-founder of Mzansi Tea House.